Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles live show. Thank you guys very much for joining us on this Tuesday, November 21st. Got that without even looking at the date because guess what, baby? Your Philadelphia Eagles are 9-1 after going to Kansas City in an absolute piss storm and just hanging around and finishing the job by way of a second half shutout of the Patrick Mahomes led Kansas City Chiefs. Guys, it is a good day. It is a great day. I don't know how many times today I just stopped and just took a deep breath and was like, damn, that was good. Man, it wasn't pretty. It didn't look pretty, but it was beautiful. Man. Before the game, I was with everybody. I was like, oh, it's just an out of conference game where the only team that it's going to matter with for a tiebreaker with is the Detroit Lions. I was like, it's not that big of a game. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, now I can let it all out. That was a huge game. That was sick. That was awesome. Oh my God. I'm on top of the world. You should be on top of the world. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to bring in my co-hosts. We got Jeffrey Knox. We got Brandon Pockris. We got Jalil Williams. And then Tressity is joining us. Guys, how are you doing? Did your buttholes clench enough that you got rid of your hemorrhoids? How are we?
Had to go full-blown Ric Flair. Now, I will say this, man, because I'm petty. Like, I got the light-skinned black brother thing going on, John. The petty wop thing. I got a little Drake in me. Got a little Steph Curry in me. Got a little Russell Wilson in me. I just want to come back and just want to revisit something we talked about like 7 days ago. Was it even 7 days ago? We have been talking for about a week about this Super Bowl rematch thing.
And we all came to a consensus that this was indeed a Super Bowl rematch. Yeah, I remember. There was not an
great win, spectacular win, not a Super Bowl rematch. We still don't have a Vince Lombardi trophy, and there will be a game next week. But I'm feeling awesome, man. How you guys feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm excited. I'm happy. There was so much stress during that game yesterday, a lot of yelling going on. But I'll tell you what, the confidence was always there. And I could tell you, you could go back and check the tweet that on that last Chiefs drive, I said, Chiefs better score 7 here. Eagles adjustments are elite. This is still an Eagles game. They didn't. They scored 3. They lost by 4.
I brought all the sound effects. Get a man to correct me. Yes, sir. What you got, Brandon?
You know, it's kind of crazy, right? Because the Eagles are like that one team this year in the NFL where it doesn't matter how they start off, how that first part of the game's going. 9 times out of 10 this season, they found the way to win. Whether it was through the air, through the ground, with their defense, it's just a matter of finding a way to win. And in football, you know, we can talk about, we didn't like Brian Johnson calling the quarterback draws, or we didn't like the offensive game plan for a majority of the game, or, you know, the Eagles defense to start off, you know, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, this game's all about wins. And the Eagles have the best record in football, best record in the NFC. They have the inside track to having home field advantage. And quite frankly, it's like you look at it, there's not really a team on their schedule outside of maybe San Francisco where you're like, oh, there's like a bigger shot that they're going to like completely lose the game. How can you pick against this team right now? And let's face the reality of it. This team, if they didn't mess up one game against the Jets where Jalen Hurts probably had one of the worst games of his life, we're talking about the Eagles going undefeated this season. But as I said at the time, I think that loss might have been the best thing that happened to this team because they've, from that point forward, have been so much better and even more resilient than they were at the beginning of the year while facing even tougher opponents than what that first stretch was for them. But no matter how you
My bad, man. I had to get the Bob Scott. How you doing? It was too good, man. Go.
Hey, look, no matter how you slice it, the Eagles are, in my eyes, the best or at least second best team in the NFL. Nowhere below that. And look, it's a great day. It's a great day if you're an Eagles fan. That's all I got to say.
Oh, how about this? How about this? The right now, the Eagles are the best football team in the world. How about that? How about NFL? How about NFC?
How about this, man? How about Sean Desai? I have watched Sean Desai, man. Like, okay, forget these quality wins and stuff we talked about and how the Dallas Cowboys get to skate by beating nobodies. Like, had that been us, it would be a whole different issue. But let's talk about Sean Desai for a second, man. Let's talk about Sean Desai for a couple minutes. Jake, I don't even know what you had on the plate.
No. Go for it. Go off.
Sean Desai, dude. I have seen this guy throttle the Miami Dolphins offense. No points in the second half. This vaunted Dallas Cowboys attack. 6 points in the second half. And now a quality Kansas City team on the road in prime time, not playing your best game, down a couple of guys. I sat there and watched this guy throttle the Kansas City Chiefs offense. 0 points in the second half. Rough starts, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I understand that and everything. But Sean Desai, these halftime adjustments, I don't know what he's telling these dudes in the halftime. Man, I can't even talk. Sean Desai, dude. Now, Brian Johnson's another situation, man, because we got to talk about Brian Johnson too. Like,
we'll wait for that. We'll wait for that.
Okay, we're still on Sean Desai.
We're still on Sean Desai because I want to talk about him too. You're exactly right. He right now is probably the MVP of the team. Where different defensive backfield, damn near every single game. And it's not like we're going up against trash opponents, right? It's not something you could look at this year and be like, oh, but who are they beating? We're beating who you wanted us to play. Everybody wanted to see what was going to happen when the Eagles, you got a number one schedule. Okay, all right, well, those teams are playing the number one team. That's what's on their schedule, and they're losing time in and time out. The Jets game, you can just throw that away at this point. Crap happens in the NFL, and we know that. And Sean Desai, what he's doing is the opposite of what Jonathan Gannon did, right? He did a great job of beating up on the weaker quarterbacks. As my brother put it in the text, he's not here to beat up on bad teams. He's here to compete against the good ones. You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what he's doing. He's giving this team a chance to compete with the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's coming up roses time after time. I can't say enough.
For whatever reason, and I think it's pretty funny, I would compare Desai to like a pressure cooker at this point, where it's like, not in a literal sense, but it seems like whenever the Eagles are down, or they're facing a really tough opponent, it seems like this defense, and Desai specifically, always steps up to the occasion. And in the second half specifically, is just borderline pitching shutouts. It's very, very impressive to see. Desai, I had a lot of confidence with him going into the season, but I think he's even surpassed my expectations of taking what was already a really good Eagles defense, even with some stumbles in the secondary, even with some perceived weaknesses in the secondary. I mean, you have Kevin Byard playing just insane defense on Travis Kelce for the majority of that second half, just locking him down, punching the ball out, causing incompletions. That might have been one of Travis Kelce's worst games in the past, 4 years, 5 years? Like, just in terms of not only the yardage, but also the drops, the fumbles. Like, it's insanely impressive to see what he has done and getting the most out of that defensive line. I mean, before he exited with a concussion, Milton Williams looks just incredible on that defensive front. So I have nothing but positive words to say about the Eagles defensive coordinator. We talked about it heading into the game, right? How was the Eagles defense going to respond against the Chiefs defense? They responded pretty damn well.
Oh, yeah.
And lo and
This guy
behold,
can have a couple of off games, man. He can give up 30 every once in a while. We know the guy knows what he's doing. Like, that's going to happen in the NFL. They got NFL players on the other side too, man. Like, shutouts in the second half against the Miami Dolphins, as vaunted as they are on offense. Shutouts against the Kansas City Chiefs. 6 points to the Dallas Cowboys. I have nothing to say about this dude anymore.
Yeah. I know, that's for sure. And real quick, Jay, I know you want to jump in here. I just want to slide this one in. Before, in the pre-show meeting, we were talking a little bit about Brett Veach and what he hasn't done. Howie Roseman and what he has done.
Brett Veach being the Chiefs GM.
Exactly. Yes. Great call. Kevin Byard, first, he gave him a touchdown, then he taketh away with the pick in the red zone. Beautiful. Great job making up for that busted. Yes, Kevin Byard. Great job for making up for that busted coverage, giving up that first touchdown, and then Bradley Roby, man, the punch out, boy.
Bradley Roby turning that ball over is key there because the Chiefs go on that drive and things of that nature. Like, man, it was wonderful to watch, man. Like, I'm sitting there for a while. Like, I wasn't like you, John. I was sitting here thinking, okay, I thought this may be the game that we drop and everything. No shame in losing to the Kansas City Chiefs on the road. And then eventually you're sitting there like, oh, snap, they're actually going to win this game.
Yeah. In one play. You're like, oh, yes. The Eagles got the downfield passes and the Chiefs didn't. Let's
talk about it. I brought receipts. This is what.
Here's a shot for Smith. He's got it. They're going to mark him at the 1.
He needed one more yard to get to 100 yards, and that would have been the touchdown.
By the way, there was
for the adjustment, man, because that ball's a little bit underthrown and things. So I mean,
there's a guy who potentially could have won $35,000 off of $100 bet. He had a 5-leg parlay where anytime touchdowns, 4 of them hit. The last one he needed was Devontae Smith. Brutal.
Probably the only person that's mad at Jalen Hurts this morning.
As far as Sean Desai goes, just looking at these numbers, this is a game where Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 43 times. He threw the ball 43 times, only 177 yards.
7 yards passing. Right.
We're looking at a game Jonathan Gannon could never. I don't want to keep trashing a man who's as low as garbage. Justin Watson was the leading receiver. That is how you beat the Chiefs. That is how you take away Travis Kelce. You say, you know what? Beat us with somebody else. Beat us with somebody else. And if you do that, buddy, you're going to have a good chance of winning if you have Justin freaking Watson be your leading receiver. Travis Kelce, what was he held to? 7 catches for 44 yards. Oh, buddy, it was beautiful.
They didn't beat him with Marcus Valdez-Scantling. More receipts.
Good protection, aired out. Valdez-Scantling dropped.
That was
I never run long enough.
I'm almost $1 million babied myself in that one. I almost just bit the tongue and ended it right there. That was beautiful.
I never had faith that MVS was going to come up with that ball. He's just not that guy. I've watched so many Green Bay games when he first came in the league in the first couple of years of Aaron Rodgers. If you can't catch balls from Aaron freaking Rodgers the way that his ball placement and accuracy is, you're probably just going to struggle your whole career. I don't believe in that guy. He's not that guy. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. And this is the problem with the framing of it on the national media. It's like, oh, they make those drops, they're in position, or those catches because they're in position, blah, blah, blah. Part of being the better team is having the better players who will come up big and make the plays when that time is called for. And if you don't have those guys, then you don't have the better team. So, sorry. That's how that goes.
I mean, we spoke about it, pre-show as well. Like, the Chiefs being in that position last night with the guys with the drops is a byproduct of their decision making, and that is inherently what their roster is. Like, the fact that they have to rely on MVS to go make a play is because they opted to not add a guy like DeAndre Hopkins that was a free agent. They opted to not really address the weapons around Mahomes, probably thinking that a guy like Mahomes can just simply elevate his receivers. And the funny part is Mahomes was making throws. He's been making throws the entire year to his guys. Here's the problem. Mahomes can't catch the ball for them.
That throw that he had to Kevin Byard, man, he put it right only where Kevin Byard could catch it. On that.
Okay, but if you think about it, that could be a sign of him pressing in the sense of his receivers aren't catching the ball. The Chiefs lead the NFL in drops and have, I think it was 6 more than the next team, which is the Jets. I think Chiefs have 28 or 27. Jets are at 20 or 21. When you have that, it goes to show that having weapons like the Eagles do, when a guy like A.J. Brown doesn't come through, you still have a guy like Devonta Smith that can pick up the slack. You have DeAndre Swift on the ground. You have an all-world playmaker, not just quarterback, in Jalen Hurts. Mahomes is as good as it comes at quarterback, but the guy can't catch the ball himself, and you're seeing that major distinction with these two offenses where, yes, you can have the amazing quarterback, the amazing line play, a great run game. If you don't have the weapons surrounding the receiver, your team just isn't going to have the floor or the ceiling that the best teams in the league should have.
Jake might disagree with you about that Patrick Mahomes being a great quarterback thing, but I'm going to tell you what I thought about Patrick Mahomes after I was watching this game. Now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. This is the difference between a Patrick Mahomes and a Jalen Hurts to me. The Marcus Valdez-Scantling drop, and I didn't let that clip run long enough before I chopped it up, John, because I think you know what I'm talking about already. The drop, and then the quarterback's reaction to every play, which we get in high definition on every NFL game. Isn't that kind of like isn't that kind of like throwing your guy in the bus a little bit? It's like, the camera's on you and everything. You know this guy's somebody that has the potential to struggle. You know this guy's somebody that hasn't come up big in big spots from time to time. So throw your hands on your head like that, kind of to me, kind of just like, I don't think Jalen would do that, man. And I think that was kind of
he's dramatic.
It's not just that, though.
He's dramatic. He cries for every damn flag. It's like, I just don't I don't know that we've seen someone as bad. And like Brady had some times where he was bad. But I felt like almost after every single play, he's looking at the ref for help. Like he's begging for assistance. That was driving me kind of nuts.
I didn't have that slide in the presentation.
I'm right. He did kind of throw MBS under the bus with that whole thing, right? Like it was wrong with it, right?
It was a bad look for sure. It was a bad look for sure. Yeah, it did. It does make it look like you're looking at your guy like, come on, man. Where you shouldn't.
I did everything I can do. You screw this up. Come on, man. Come up with
it.
Yeah.
So coming from someone that does enjoy watching Mahomes play quarterback, that's the one part of his game that I'm like, come on, dude. Is he the worst in the league with it now that Brady retired?
Yes.
You're talking about worse in the league
I thought that was tacky. To me, the biggest diva in sports will always be Russell Wilson. Like Russell Wilson can go away, man. Like I'm tired of him. Like he's got to go.
He doesn't even say anything though, Jeff. He doesn't.
I don't like the phony aspect. See, he doesn't say anything, but Russell is like, I just got to look good on camera.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like strictly on field. Like Mahomes gets quote unquote roughed up and he's looking for a flag immediately. I feel like
I saw that's what you said. I just used that as an opportunity to talk trash.
Okay. Fair enough. I think in that tier is Mahomes, Josh Allen, Mac Jones. I mean, I'm sure there's like other guys in that vein, but it's like Mac Jones, no shot. But like Allen and Mahomes, it's like you're good enough where you don't need to be complaining for every call, man. Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand that whatsoever. I've never understood that. But hey, I guess if you're that good, you can try to snake your way into a few more calls.
I told you where you're coming from. My thing is, I was just using this opportunity to talk about Russell Wilson.
That's fair. That's very fair.
This morning, guys, I was watching Get Up on ESPN, and Jeff Saturday was on there talking about how, if you're MVS, you have to make that catch Oh, you see on the other side, Devontae Smith is what he's saying. You saw Devontae Smith make a deep catch that was even tougher than the one that Valdez dropped. Valdez Scantling dropped. And at that moment, I thought, I'm a big Marvel fan. You know what I'm saying? I thought about the first Iron Man movie. Remember that first Iron Man movie? Tony Stark built the Iron Man suit in the cave. And then later, the guy, you know where I'm going, Jake. Yes, you know where I'm going. The guy who turns out to be the bad guy later is yelling at his scientist because he can't build this Iron Man suit replica in a lab. He's like, Tony did it in a cave with scraps, and the guy's like, I'm not Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm thinking when he's like, Valdez has to make that. You saw what Devontae did. He's not Devontae. You know what I'm saying? He's not that guy. They don't have those guys. All you have is Travis Kelce. You're going to need more.
Makes sense.
What are you doing, bud?
He's excited too, Jake.
Lord. Yeah, I was watching that Jeff Saturday 2 thing, and just totally, when I saw him, I was like, I can't believe this guy was a coach. That was just so. It felt like a fever dream. I was like, how the hell was Jeff Saturday a coach in the NFL?
Barely.
Because Jim Irsay was his owner.
Yeah,
that's fair. Do you guys have anything else on the defense at all?
Great job. Milton Wilson. Milton Williams. What a Milton Wilson.
I got one more thing.
Milton Williams, get that man the turkey leg at Thanksgiving. He deserves the turkey leg. That boy, he balled.
We hadn't gotten anything on Milton Williams yet. Possible concussion is what we understand.
Yeah,
but he played very well last night. I thought the whole
Milton Williams always plays well, man. I like everything I see from him. And how about Jalen Carter with the almost interception?
That's what I was gonna bring up. Gotta
find that clip. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I didn't even catch it live, but when I was on social media looking, he tried to pick off the spike and he almost got it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's one of the just craziest or smartest play. I don't even know how to classify it. That's just an insane play for someone that's a defensive tackle to try to make.
If he pulls that out, he is the NFL's defensive rookie of the year. That got to get him at this point.
For sure.
You can't intercept spikes and not win that award.
Okay. Let's while you're trying to find that, let me know when you do find that. We're gonna pull Tressany in here.
Hey.
How we doing?
What's up, Tress?
Feeling amazing right now. Birds won last night. I rewatched the game and I'm feeling a lot better about it. So I'm happy.
That's it's always the way that it ends up feeling. Did you do the short one, the 40-minute one, or did you watch the whole shebang?
I watched the whole shebang. I recorded it, so I saw every second.
I normally watch 48 minutes. I'm sorry, Tristan. I normally watch the 40-minute version. I watched the whole 3 hours last night. Go ahead, Tristan. I'm sorry.
Beautiful.
No, I recorded it, so I rewatched the whole thing from start to finish. Although I kind of was on my phone during the first half because I knew it was going to make me mad, but it was on. The full thing was on.
Sweet. Okay, so then let's talk offense. Let's talk offense. And okay, I'm going to say something outlandish here. And I know it might draw the ire. Is there a chance that Brian Johnson is smarter than us? That's the end of the sentence. Yep, that's my question. Is there a chance? Because the QB draw, it worked.
For once.
It worked. But
it worked at times. It worked at times.
Brian Johnson scares me, and this is why. I don't understand throwing I don't know what it is about the wide receiver screen pass that he's so in love with. I don't understand why we feel like we can take advantage of everybody with this play, and it never seems to work, yet we keep going back to it. I don't understand abandoning the brotherly shove on 3rd and 1, handing the ball off and losing 3 yards. I don't understand certain stuff like that. Then I don't understand trying the wide receiver screen to the Devontae Smith and almost turning the ball over. And then we're going to run the same play to the other side of the field.
Yeah.
When I tell you,
first receiver. Brian Johnson is smart because Brian Johnson knows exactly what he's doing. Brian Johnson can do his job better than I can. If I was out there calling the plays, it's going to look a whole lot worse, and then y'all going to ask me to get fired after the first game. Brian Johnson is better than me. And Brian Johnson should be better than me. But I kept expecting to see the guy that turned the Florida Gators offense. I know it's a totally different game at the collegiate level, but I was expecting to see the guy that made the Florida passing attack what it was with bad quarterbacks and less than elite weapons at the collegiate level. So I didn't get that guy, and I was expecting Brian Johnson to have this unique relationship with Jalen Hurts that was going to bring more out of him than Shane Steichen was able to do. I'm not seeing that because Brian Johnson has been with Jalen Hurts' family before Jalen Hurts was with Jalen Hurts' family. Like, that's how long he's been around. So it's frustrating, it's maddening, and I see no reason to abandon the brotherly shove at any point of any game, especially seeing as how I now believe that if we ran this on first, second, and third down, we pick up first downs, and you just forget the passing attack, just run the brotherly shove all the way down the field, eat up clock and score touchdowns.
I'll tell you what, when he ran those screens, when we went through that screen back to back, I was so angry. I was thinking about I'm thinking about Brandon Marshall, that one on that one podcast that he got kind of famous for going off when he was like very, very wrong and vein popping up out of his head, standing up yelling about whatever they were talking about at the time. That all I remember is that he was wrong, loud and wrong. I was very, very angry, very, very angry. But afterwards, I noticed that their pass rush softened up. So it didn't do a ton in terms of getting us yardage on those plays, but it forced Spags to call off the dogs a little bit and play a little bit more conservatively the rest of the game, and that gave Jalen a little bit more time and opportunities to make the plays that he ended up making. So at the time, I was beside myself with anger, but it looks like it worked out. So also, to answer your question, Jake, and agree with Jeff, yes, Brian Johnson is smarter than us.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. He might be.
I think it's very interesting because so much goes into making an offensive game plan that all of us will just never know, especially at the NFL level, considering, the way Spags was calling the game early on. It was a lot of like mixed blitzes where sending guys off the corner with a blitz and dropping guys you would expect to be coming in the coverage, and just a lot of different stuff that if early on in the game, it looked like it was throwing off the offensive line and Hurts in terms of protections and how they were dealing with those types of stunts. So I think a byproduct of so many of those screens and draws was to not have the Chiefs defense on their toes so much to the point where, now they're backed off. Now Hurts can actually start operating, can actually start hitting his receivers over the middle and not having a run for his life. Because if you saw like later parts of the game, that pressure wasn't getting home as much. And as a result, the Eagles offense looked better. And a big part of that was also DeAndre Swift running hard and the Eagles rushing attack looking pretty good. I think from my perspective, it was the overall play calling, if you want to call it that. I don't really have an issue with Johnson's play calling. It's some of the stuff he calls in specific situations. Like, for example, relying on quarter.
No Disney, Brandon. That's our issue with his play call.
Right. No, but like quarterback draws on like second and longs and third.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Especially with Hurts having a hurt knee. No pun intended, obviously. But
that was brilliant, though. I caught it.
I just don't understand that because we all know who you have as your backup quarterback if Jalen ever went down, right?
Right.
And yes, he is so vital to the rushing attack, but you want to know when they should call that quarterback draw? On the play he scored the touchdown when it's goal to go, and that 10-yard gain, instead of him getting popped and taking another hit, is now a touchdown. And now you are putting points on the board. Now that play call is working. Whereas you're calling it so much where teams are just aware of it on third and long or second and long, and they're just taking shots at your quarterback that, let's face it, he doesn't really need to hit. So I think the play calling is fine, but that's the one aspect where I'm like, I don't need to see that anymore.
Yeah, and that's that. There was a I have a few thoughts there because you're talking. First of all, the screen passes. I think that's what we're talking about when we're talking about sequencing plays. Is that he can do that? It like you said, it calls the dogs off. It started giving that offensive line more pressure because they were getting absolutely cooked up until that point. I don't like that they did two to Julio Jones. That doesn't make sense to me.
No.
That really kind of throw off my prediction of Julio Jones getting 15 catches this year.
Julio Jones is so dude. Like if he ran any slow, he'd be running backwards. Like I've never seen that before in my life. Like
not great. But did you see how far back the cornerbacks were playing?
Like for real. I thought my TV glitched for a second because we got this Wi-Fi TV thing. We do that. I thought my TV slowed down, but the problem was Joe Buck's voice was still going at the regular time. Like I'm like, this dude is slow, man.
Now what I'm thinking is that this is the first game that we've seen the Eagles play this year without Dallas Goedert. I thought that it was going to be a lot of the same kind of things last year, where wide receiver 3 was going to get more catches or more targets, like what Quez did last year, and he did nothing with them. I thought it was going to be like that, maybe because I think that those screen passes to Julio Jones, I think those are Dallas Goedert plays. That's what that looked like to me, at least.
I want to believe that Julio Jones has something
pass where Dallas Goedert's on the field. I think that those maybe could be something.
I want to believe Julio Jones got something left, man. I just don't see it. Like I just keep thinking about this guy in Tennessee. He's not the guy in Atlanta anymore, man. Like I keep seeing this guy in Tennessee. I keep seeing that guy in Tampa Bay, and I'm like, that's the guy we were getting. I was trying to let people talk me into maybe he could do something, and I even believed you, Jake. Like maybe we might get 15 catches, and that'd be cool, man. But I'm like, this guy's bad now. Like
no. He's not bad. No, he's not. They're just using him in a way that you shouldn't use. How old is he? 34. That you shouldn't be using a guy like 60. That. I mean, it's just not the. To me, it's just like not. It's just weird. Like it's
like
just,
wide receiver 3 is on. Wide receiver 3s on our team don't really eat like that. So damn well wide receiver 4s aren't going to be out there getting a ton of work either. So I mean, it's not like we're here drawing up plays for him.
That's why I think that was a Dallas Goedert play. He's a big guy like Dallas Goedert is. That seemed like if you were to slap an 8 on that jersey instead of a 0, I think that's a Dallas Goedert play is what that is.
So this is the problem I got though, because like, and to your point, John, like he should be wide receiver 4, but he actually might be wide receiver 3 now because he got like, I'm sitting here looking at snap counts. He had 32 snaps, 50% of the team's total. Olamide Zaccheaus at like 22, 39%. But I want to go back to the defense for a second though, because I actually got that.
Real quick, I would wonder how many of those snaps for Julio were run plays as well. He's a bigger guy.
I can pull that up. I can find that for you.
So you think he's blocking?
For some of that, quite possibly. I'd just be interested to know for sure.
Well, he's playing this video. I'll pull that up. I got that pillbox chart.
Hey Jeff, I sent you an image to your DM in the Slack channel just to show you the level of anger I was talking about that I was exhibiting during the game.
I got you. Speaking of anger, though, I'm sitting here looking at Nolan Smith's net accounts too. So we talking about the Georgia guys, right? Jalen Carter's amazing. Who knows with Nakobe Dean? We're going to see what Nakobe Dean when he gets back. I still believe in Nakobe Dean. I know everybody else doesn't, but
I do.
Jordan Davis, I love. Jordan Davis is something else. Even if he's not getting home and making statistical like impact and stuff like that, he's doing some great things. But where's Nolan Smith now? Like I thought when we deactivated like Derek Barnett for the game, I thought we was gonna get more Nolan Smith. He got less snaps. He got like 5 snaps on defense. Brandon, explain this to me. Like you always make this stuff make sense. Why is Nolan Smith getting 5 snaps?
So it could just be a matter of, I think, wanting him to get his feet underneath him. It's very interesting how a lot of these teams draft edge rushers to really stash them for a year. And I don't think Nolan Smith is really any different in that regard, where it's like he's a guy that has insane athletic ability, but it was always a question like how much of a pure pass rusher he was going to be right off the bat. I mean, if you looked at a lot of draft analysts, they said he has all the ceiling in the world as a speed rusher, but in terms of his ability to handle, NFL tackles and deal with them shutting down that speed rush at times, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for him to be in that limited capacity where you have Hassan Reddick, where you have Jalen Carter, where you have, Josh Sweat. You have guys that can get after the passer and really make a huge impact, where giving Nolan Smith that time to develop and really learn from these types of players, I don't think that's a bad thing, because now you go into next season, you're giving him his first full offseason in an NFL training program. Maybe he's adding a few more pounds. Maybe he's, working on a specific type of move to where now he's taking a step in year two. Maybe he's playing, instead of 5-10 snaps per game, 15 or 17 snaps per game. And it's that steady increase. And it's the process that the Eagles have used to why their defense has just consistently been good year after year after year. Because once Hassan Reddick leaves and once some of these other pass rushers leaves, guess what? Nolan Smith is stepping right up and taking over for whoever departed. So I wouldn't say it's the end of the world for him not to play right now. But I also think that, it's a part of the Eagles' plan. But we don't know for sure.
You brought up
redirect though.
Talking about the
Brandon Graham got 25 snaps.
Okay.
Does Brandon Graham need 25 snaps now?
If he's produced,
Probably not. Like it's not a perfect system, right? But I just thinking with the way they're trying to, I wouldn't even say hide him, but just play him at this small number of snaps. It's just very interesting, and with them investing that type of draft capital, it makes you think that they want to develop him and then start to increase his role, even if not this season, in the next season.
To your Brandon Graham thing and on the Nolan Smith, I think we talked about this. I think this could be a Nakobe Dean-esque situation where the guys that are playing ahead of him are just playing out of their minds right now. As far as Brandon Graham goes, though, they did a handful of plays. At least I noticed it a couple times. They were doing one tackle and then 3 edge rushers. And Brandon Graham's good at rushing down the middle.
He's good at that. He's good at that.
So I'm more than fine with that.
I wonder too if it could be somewhat of a, and we talked about this before, that maybe he's one of those guys as well who has relied on his athleticism so much that now he's at this level and they're trying to really teach him and drill in those fundamentals and the details of the position, keep him contained, and all the different other things that go into, being a consistent producing player at that position where you have to be, especially right now for the Eagles who are going for it all. I wanted to get your opinions about this. What do y'all think about the Josh Sweat complaint? I've talked about this before with my brothers. Like, I do think that a guy, if you throw the ball away, if you get an intentional grounding, trying to escape, like the nearest defender should get the sack or something like that. Like, because I think it's kind of garbage. Some of these guys don't get the credit when they're the ones who made the play.
Easiest fix ever. Yep, it's as easy as that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jeff, you'll be cool with that?
I'm gonna say that.
Trust me, what do you think?
I'm actually amazed that I didn't even know that was the rule. I actually thought that's how it worked.
I did too. So.
Because it's a penalty and you lose the yardage, but it's not a sack.
Yeah, and they have guys who are getting like incentives and stuff.
You lose the down, you lose the yards, but you don't give the sack. That doesn't really make sense to me.
That doesn't make sense to me either. I think what you said is right. You should get that because, like, what's the point at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stats matter.
I got the Jalen Carter almost interception.
Yeah, pull it up and we'll talk about offense again.
But first, I just want to watch the drop one more time.
Good protection, aired out. Valdez-Scantling dropped.
One more time.
Good protection, aired out. Valdez-Scantling dropped.
That looks better every time, man. Okay, almost interception. Here we go.
And we'll clock it with 2 seconds left. And the field goal unit.
That's so close. That's so close.
So close. That would have been crazy if he had gotten that.
I might have passed out.
There's
Yeah,
just
even
no
even
way
if it hits
that-
his hands
Jalen
better,
Carter
the ball
has to be
bounces up and
the
they could
rookie of
lose
the year.
lose the time.
He does that. He has to be the defensive rookie of the year. Like,
Yeah.
dude's
He
amazing.
has to be. There's no competition there, in my opinion.
Devin Witherspoon's good.
He's
It's just-
good, but he's not as good as Carter.
No,
It's actually funny, like laugh out loud, hilarious, just watching him wreak so much havoc in the middle of offensive lines with people falling all over each other trying to tackle him and keep him away from their quarterback.
That's one thing I look forward to every week is the Baldy breakdown where he spent it's like a 2-minute video of him just absolute praise for Jalen Carter and how he draws so much attention. And he's played 11 games.
Love
Jalen
Baldy.
Carter, 43 snaps. That's 54%. I want more.
Oh yeah, but to answer your question about to get back on topic with the offense. To answer your question about Julio Jones, 10 running plays. He was on the field for 10 running plays. So he was on the field the majority of his plays. 2/3 of his plays were passing downs.
Interesting.
Okay. That's not
10
terrible.
running plays.
Three of those running plays that he was on field for were in the first half. So I don't know if that.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Is he a better blocker than Olamide Zaccheaus? Because I keep thinking about Olamide Zaccheaus and how he blocks downfield. Like, is he better than that? Or is he just big?
No, he's a big guy, but he draws a lot of attention. Yeah, that's what I was going to say on those screen passes. When you look at it, that they gave him a lot of room. Like those corners, like they played off of Julio Jones a lot. Like it was 2016 Julio Jones. Like
I don't know why he's getting so much respect. Like,
I mean, that's what I'm telling you. I think you might just be wrong with
what he used to be. Like, he's living off reputation. He's like Stephon Gilmore. He's just living off reputation now. What
Man, I just don't think so. I think you might be wrong, man. He's good, but just in the very specific situation, like the touchdown that he had. Like,
and you're right. Like these, like we talked about the Brian Johnson thing. These guys are smarter than me and everything, but I would assume that names not included, I would be more worried about Olamide Zaccheaus because of him being able to get into space and shiftiness and the slot receiver thing. Like, I would be more about Olamide Zaccheaus because I know we're not putting Julio in the slot because he runs backwards.
That's fair. But they were also running some things where they didn't have a tight end on the field too. And if you have that, then you put Julio Jones out there. Bada bing, bada boom, baby.
I like 3 to 4 wide receiver sets. So
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, 10 personnel, is that what that is? I can't remember. Numbers are weird.
Basically, I think you could argue that Julio's filling the quote unquote Goddard role as much as he possibly could because they don't really have as good of a receiving tight end as Goddard on their roster.
No,
and
absolutely not.
I mean, if you have Julio playing that big slot and going more, I think it'd be 11 personnel in that case.
11 personnel would be 1 back, 1 tight end. So if we're doing no tight end, it's always the running back first and then the tight end when it comes to those numbers. So 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. 1 running back, no tight ends will be 10 personnel.
Yeah, so basically 4 wide, 10 personnel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
they did something earlier where in that game where DeAndre Swift had a big run off to the right, I believe. It wasn't the jet sweep, but they did one where they had Olamide Zaccheaus and DeAndre Swift in the backfield. So it's like get weird with it, dude. This is the time to get weird with it. Find out what works, man.
Those 15 scripted plays at the beginning of the game, everybody does and stuff. Like, I think we use those as like, I personally would use those as an opportunity to get everybody comfortable. Get everybody a touch. Get the ball to Devontae. Get the ball to AJ Brown. You're not losing anything here. Like, it's not like you're going to say, let's not get the ball to Devontae. Let's not get the ball to AJ. But 15 scripted plays get the game started. I think that'll be a way to settle everybody down, get Julio a touch somewhere to him to do something. I feel like he's involved in the game because I'm not going to say we don't need Dallas Goedert. That would be ridiculous. But this team is, now 6-1 over the last 2 years without him?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with great teams, right? They still find ways to win. Find ways to win. You gotta figure it out. We was talking about the Ravens and losing Mark Andrews. They were my pick to make the Super Bowl out of the AFC.
Might be back.
And Mark Andrews went down as like, can they still make? Well, they have to. If you're that team, you have to figure it out. That's every year the Super Bowl team usually loses big time pieces, and they still figure it out. It's just part of it. you know, there's football, people get hurt. We all remember our championship in 2017 of the hoodie that I'm wearing right now, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Carson Wentz out, Jordan Hicks out, Jason Peters out, and no Darren Sproles. Like, we lost some very important pieces on both sides of the ball that year, and still not just one didn't just scrap it out, clawing with a low scoring game. Did numbers, you know, showed up to work and handle business. So,
But
That's
keep going.
real talk.
no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as talking about everybody getting comfortable and everything, it seemed like it kind of took a second there for the running game to really get established. But when it did, it really did. We're looking at DeAndre Swift with 76 rushing yards and a touchdown, 31 passing yards. So we got over 100 all-purpose yards, which is great for him. It seemed like whenever the Eagles were having these drives, DeAndre Swift played a major league part in it. Like there was, like I said, there's the jet sweep for what was that, like 35 yards or something like that. That was obviously the biggest one, but it seemed like whenever there was a drive that the Eagles were going to be productive on, they had a DeAndre Swift kind of like an 8-yard run or something like that. He played an excellent game. The guy played an excellent game behind a line that was kind of struggling for against the pass rush and everything like that.
That was a good defense. That's a very good defense. They
yeah,
played.
It is, man.
You know, that's part of the reason why and everything. So it's like ebbs and flows. Like we're talking about, like I kind of expect to see this defense get hit with its best shot, especially since we're juggling parts and trying to patch holes and things of that nature. But I expect to see this defense struggle early. But I also now, just based off what I've seen, I expect this defense to make second half adjustments and for nothing to happen because it's like showing the side, man. Like it's just amazing.
And is there a changing of the guard for running back 2 is the question I'm going to ask. Because if you're looking at the numbers, I don't know if you have them up. Don't spoil it. But Boston Scott got double the carries of Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell got 1, and Boston Scott got 2. Hey, people are saying.
I've never figured out Boston Scott. Boston Scott can do what he does against the Giants against more than just the Giants. And I don't know why the Eagles have never figured that out. Boston Scott, they were comparing this guy to Darren Sproles at one point. Like not as talented as Darren Sproles, but some of the same skill set. Small in stature, stocky, like never fumbles, never gets hurt. Boston Scott can play, man. Like, what did he average? Like 4 yards carry last night?
I mean, he had 2 carries for 8 yards. It's a
that would be correct, though.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But I think that's the season average too. So it's not like it's just that's what he does. Like, give him the ball. At some point, I believe he'll break one somewhere. Like, we've seen him do that because
week 16.
I mean, a guy that small, you hit standing behind guys who are like 6'5" and 300 pounds and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to figure out where he is, especially that's why he's so good on the goal line.
I mean, I just think that in terms of the running back composition, Gainwell is better as a sub-in third down running back anyway, whereas Boston Scott's a better change of pace because I think Boston Scott's just a better pure runner of the football, whereas Gainwell, I think, played a little bit of receiver in college, where I'm not sure why he hasn't been that situational spell back on third down for Swift. So the Eagles always seem to have some little wrinkle with their running back room going on. They're always tinkering with something. And hey, maybe this is finally the combination that they settle on until they just decide to insert Rashad Penny in the winter months and be like, hey, we're going to give you 10 carries. Give you.
But looking at the snap count, Boston Scott got what? Kenny Gainwell got 14 snaps. Looks like a pretty good chunk of those were the pass. And to be fair, they showed it on the broadcast is that Kenny Gainwell is very clearly good at pass protection. So it's not like he's going away, but just hopefully that running back or the run work kind of shifts over to Boston Scott.
I think I've come around too on that. Like I would prefer Boston Scott be the second back consistently. And y'all remember how I felt at the beginning of the season. But Jeff, like you said, he just doesn't get the opportunities, you know, and I'm not, I've told y'all this before, I'm not going to be stubborn, you know, with my takes and my opinions.
Respect.
He does continue to look good when we do give him the ball. So I would prefer to give him the ball over Gainwell. Gainwell is the one to me who is still, still trying to work his way into my heart a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be the end of the season, and you're gonna be like, I'm okay with Kenny Gainwell. I'd like to see more of him.
Like Gainwell,
no, that's not gonna happen. I don't know about all that. I think DeAndre Swift's performance last night solidified that I will not feel that way about Kenny Gainwell.
Absolutely not.
Guy's an animal. Love that.
He ran strong too. He ran tough. That's what I like to see as well.
Aesthetically for DeAndre Swift, I believe when he's playing with a visor on, coolest looking dude in the world. There's not a cooler looking player out there. When he has that visor on, DeAndre Swift is the coolest dude. Give him a leather jacket, let him smoke a cigarette and flip a nickel. That guy's so cool. When he has the visor off, he's a little bit more human to me. He doesn't he goes from being like some Mercedes-Benz supercar to being like, 2004 Mercedes.
But I have to honorable mention for somebody else who's fly, and this again, it's on the Ravens. I think it was Beckham who also did the visor with the purple and the black sleeves. That looked pretty dope.
Looked good. That looked good.
It was dope. So honorable mention for Beckham. Mad respect for him since he left the Giants. I was happy when he left the Giants. I was like, yes, I can kind of like this guy now, because he was so talented. I hated him on the Giants, but
he's a dork.
Every now and then you have that question. If there was somebody in your division that you could pull from, what I'm saying, who would it be? For me, I was like, I would love to have Beckham. Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Let's see. Let's talk. Going back to the wide receiver thing, AJ Brown only had the one catch, but also what could have been the play of the game? What could have been the most heads up play in the history of football? Like it would have been AJ Brown forcing a fumble. That would be here, and then immaculate reception would be right here. To those, if that would have happened, that would have been the most heads up play. So Jalen throws the interception. I guess he was getting blitzed, and they were saying AJ Brown beat the guy off. As that was AJ Brown beat the man off of the line of scrimmage.
Yo, chill out, Jake.
AJ Brown.
It is a family program.
AJ Brown beat the man off the line of scrimmage so bad that he just like, you know what? F it. I'm gonna I'm just gonna fly down the field. Jalen didn't see that, threw the interception. The guy went down. Oh man, AJ's leg barely glances his leg, and then he lets him get up. He says, "You know what? No, I'm going to be linebacker too," and then rips the ball out of that dude's hands. That was the coolest thing.
He tried not to touch him. He was like stalking him like a predator in the safari. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he got up, he like pounced on him.
He could learn a thing or two from Justin Fields from like last year when Justin Fields just jumped clear over Micah Parsons and let him get a scoop and score. Like, yeah, man, that was so cool. That was so cool.
It's crazy, man, because football's a game of inches, also pause. But what's going to end up happening is like any little thing during the course of a play can that could have been a bomb for a touchdown. You throw the interception, it could have been a turnover. It's so many ways of games can play out and plays can play out individually during the course of the contest, man. It's just but I would have much rather seen the bomb, and Jalen has a little bit more time, doesn't have to throw to a spot. It probably is a touchdown pass and everything too.
But it was just so cool, man. Football's so cool. That was so cool. Oh, that was sick. I just want everybody to say that was sick.
That was sick.
That was sick.
That was sick.
Nothing from John Brandon.
Pretty spectacular.
It was not sick for them.
I mean,
it was pretty sensational.
I mean, it would have been a lot cooler if it counted. I mean, it was a sick play, but
that was so cool.
It would have been a lot cooler, if this was a real Super Bowl rematch. We actually would have got a Lombardi Trophy too.
Are we still on this?
You are the only two people. You were the only two people.
No, we are not. I wish that we would have pulled.
There are dozens of them.
Sirianni.
Dozens.
Merrill Reese, the great, sat there and said, "This is not a Super Bowl rematch, but it feels good to win this one." I'm gonna go with Merrill Reese.
That trumps it all right there. The voice of the Eagles said it's not a Super Bowl.
We work in media, guys. It's just a way to get people invested. Like, it sounds cool to say Super Bowl rematch to get people to the television. It's not a Super Bowl.
Now,
I'm glad Jay caught my comment, so I'm happy about that.
yeah, that was funny.
I got all your comments, Brandon. Like, no diss. Like, I think it's cool. Like, I have never seen somebody scream freeze so much, but they keep talking. Like,
it's actually been pretty funny.
You lose everything. Like, we still got the sound, but you're not moving. You look like trying to move.
It's grit. That's resiliency, is what that is.
It's great.
Or it's this Wi-Fi here.
You're frozen up. Like, see, we still hear you.
He is.
I've never seen that before, dude. Like, it's the coolest thing ever. It's like the coolest.
You guys are freezing on my end. So who knows? It's probably my internet.
I thought you were practicing ventriloquism.
I might be. I can't give away all my secrets.
There you go.
This has nothing to do with the show. My aunt says I talk too much and we should let Tresney talk more. Tresney, you have anything? Tresney can talk if you didn't talk so much. Go ahead, Tresney.
No, I mean, I just love hearing what y'all have to say, honestly. I just feel like I'm always like, oh, everybody's so cute and everybody's so slay. But, I don't know. I mean, I thought DeAndre Swift did amazing last night. I mean, I was genuinely floored. My player of the game, though, was definitely Smitty. I knew when Jalen just threw the ball up at the end, I knew it was Smitty down there. I was like, it's Smitty. Like, I was on the phone with my dad and I was like, Daddy, it's Smitty. And he was like, I know. And then he just caught it. And I was like, it's at the one. Here comes the tush push. I mean, everything was just cemented for me after that. I knew we were going to beat Big Red. I had tears in my eyes. I may have cried. I'm not going to admit to that, but it was perfect for me. That ending was perfect. After all of the anxiety that they gave me for the rest of the game, that I was good with.
It was a hell of an exclamation point.
At the end of the day, tough win, scrappy, all that, that's fine. We beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead in November coming off of a bye. That does not happen.
Ever.
It does not happen.
Unheard of.
We finally beat Andy Reid. I'm glad you brought it up, Tristan. We finally beat Andy Reid. We finally beat Jason Kelce, finally beat Travis Kelce.
Hey, finally.
And remember, y'all talked about some of those notes on Friday's show. And he said that Jason had never beaten Travis and we had never beaten Andy Reid. And I said, until we do, right. Because it's always until you do. Never is only never until it's not anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes.
Got to get him another one in a few weeks too, because Jason's never beaten Seattle.
No, he has not. That's the other one. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? I have to get off right at an hour. I gotta go do a show.
That's good. My grandma's here visiting, so I'm gonna give her a big hug.
All right. Sweet.
I have nothing to do because nobody invited me to Thanksgiving.
Well, if you want to catch a flight down to Dallas, Texas, I'll scoop you up. You say hi to some of the Cowboys fans, and
I'm sure they'll love me.
All right. My one last thing that I had to say, Britton Covey, GOAT.
Great job.
That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I mentioned this in the Slack last night. I'm going to write something that it quantifies the data or qualifies the data. I can't remember. I don't know which one it is. About whether or not Britton Covey gets if he looks like or if he doesn't get hit by a car, the Eagles score. And I'm pretty sure it's 100% of the time. If he does get hit by a truck, maybe it's the Eagles have some work to do. If Britton Covey can just go down gently or run out of bounds, boom, that's 7 points right there. I'm gonna prove it, and I'll probably cherry pick numbers as well for that since that's what I do. But it's coming, baby.
PowerPoint
out Jamal Cooper, Rayshawn Glasser, Greg Stanton, G. Hayes, David Colano, Shireen Renita, everybody that's here all the time and rocking with us for the whole show and everything. They do it live, so shout out to y'all.
Yes. Oh, also I saw this one.
Baby.
David, totally not selling the OC. We talked about that. Go back and listen to that. I think we came to a understanding that Brian Johnson is smarter than normal people. And I think we got. I think that's where we landed. Okay, we did. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Thank you guys very much for sticking around, joining us. That is Brandon Pockrass. That's Jalil Williams. That is Jeffrey Knox.
That's
and last
Jalil Williams. Jalil Williams.
Damn it!
Hey, you'll get it eventually.
That is Jalil Williams. That is Tressany Sawyer. Everybody, thank you guys very much for joining us. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We will talk to you on Friday. Are we going to do another one on Friday?
I look damn good with these glasses on, by the way.
We will talk to you guys later. Another Kelly Green week, baby. My name's Jake Beckman. You guys have a terrific night. Your Philadelphia Eagles are 9-1. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Birds.